Welcome to another episode of Tim Talks, where we talk shop. So today I'm with Tim Branum, and we're going to talk a little bit about new projects and what are the main things that drive part cost and lead time into some of our new projects.
Yeah, well, for part cost, you have a few pretty big considerations. Probably the biggest one is your cycle time. It's basically how long it takes for you to create one part or set of parts if you have multiple cavities,
Right.
because that determines how long we have to run the mold to finish your production order. You also have the number of cavities, so part price for a single cavity mold is going to be more expensive than it would be if there's multiple cavities, because we can make more than one part at a time, which kind of just goes back into cycle time.
Right.
Then you also have scrap and regrind. How much are we having to scrap out of these parts that were made? How efficient is the mold that we're running? And also, are we able to reuse any of the material we are scrapping? That will affect your material cost.
Right, so if you had a big runner system, the runner system, you can regrind the runner system, but depending on the size of the order and the way it is, a lot of times that runner system, we count that, because if we have to use it as scrap, we can collect it, grind it, reintroduce it, but there's also cost involved in that. So we look at that as well. And then cooling, when you're cooling your part, it's included in the mold, but it's also the temperature of the water and just the efficiency of the mold, how efficient that mold runs.
Yeah.
Another
thing we look at is how much can we automate the process. So if you have a part that the gate's kind of ejecting by itself, it's coming off the part without us having to do anything, all we need to do is have an operator come by every now and then and put the parts in a box. Your labor cost is going to be a lot less than if you have like 3 operators there. One's cutting the gate, one's drilling a hole into it. Any post-processing is going to
Right. So it's that labor element. What are the other things that impact the part costs?
Well, I think really the only other major thing that will really impact your part cost is what material you want to use.
Right.
So if you're using some kind of engineering resin, something that has, very specific, mechanical properties, or I guess the more specific you need to get, the more it's going to cost, right?
Right.
So if you have a general purpose polypropylene that you want to run, that's usually going to be pretty cheap. But if you need to run something more specific, like maybe a glass-filled PPS or something like that,
higher temperature, higher mechanical properties, the higher performing products are going to cost more.
Sure.
And so, what about lead time? What about when you're doing a new project? What are the things that affect our lead time?
Yeah, as far as like building the tool and getting that here goes, the main things that are going to affect that is your part complexity. The more complex your part is, the longer it's going to take to make the tooling for that part, because you need to machine more components and you need to figure out ways to mold the part. You also have the number of cavities. More cavities is more machine time, because you have to machine more cores inside the mold. And also, if it's more cavities, it's going to be a bigger mold to house that amount of cavities.
Right.
You also have cooling complexity. So how a part cools is very important. The better a part cools, the lower we can get the cycle time down. So we want to make sure that cooling is cooling the part as well as we can, which sometimes means it gets pretty complex, and that can add some lead time to the tooling. And then also where we're sourcing the tool. If we're sourcing it overseas, sometimes I can get it done quicker, but then getting the tool shipped here will take longer.
Right.
Whereas if you're building the tool domestically, you can sometimes get it a little bit quicker.
Right. Well, Tim, thanks for sharing a little bit about cost and lead time on new projects, and hope you guys can join us on another episode of Tim Talks.